you know how many dystopian novels are set in 2025? It's a lot. Like a surprising amount. And what's crazy is some of these authors wrote these books in the 70s, which means they were predicting the future 50 years from when they wrote. So today we're talking about all the dystopian novels that take place in 2025, but we're more specifically talking about the dystopian worlds that they built. We're not talking plot details, no reviews, no spoilers. We're just looking at what these authors envisioned 2025 could look like. Some of them were eerily close to reality. Like, one predicted a right-wing MAGA president, another one predicted the rise of AI and technology. Then I'm gonna rank them based on the likelihood that I think their vision could come true this year. Because clearly what we need right now is a fun casual game of which dystopia are we most likely to get stuck in. We'll start with one you may have heard of. The Running Man, written by the king himself, Stephen King, that is. And yeah, I know you're picturing this masterpiece with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Hey! Light hand! Hey, Christmas tree!
Richard!
But before it was cheesy one-liners and explosions, it was a brutal dystopian novel set in, of course, 2025. In this future, the economy is in ruins, violence is out of control, and America is a totalitarian nightmare where jobs are pretty much non-existent. In desperation, people join game shows to make money. And The Running Man, the most popular game, is an absolute hellscape. It is run by the government, broadcast on live TV, and the goal is to stay alive, literally, just for 30 days. While a team of government-funded hitmen try to hunt you down and kill you. If you survive, which nobody in the novel has yet, you get $1 billion. Which, you know, in this economy, that is a tempting proposition. So here's our scale, but I'm gonna start by putting this one, like, kind of down here. This doesn't seem that likely to happen. At least not yet. But while The Running Man is action-packed, our next novel doesn't need killer entertainment to be terrifying. Parable of the Sower is terrifying simply because it takes everything wrong with our society right now and turns the dial up to 11. This dystopia feels disturbingly realistic. The economy has collapsed, mostly due to climate change. There is massive wealth inequality, and basic necessities like water are a luxury for the rich. People can't read, police are so corrupt they're pretty much useless, and paid jobs are rare. But then, and this happens in Parable of the Talents, but I can't not talk about it, a right-wing president gets elected on the premise of Make America Great Again. Yeah. Really. Overt racism rises and the new president promises to bring back jobs and dismantle government programs. He loosens worker protection laws, calling minimum wage overly restrictive, and the result is that entire towns are bought by foreign businesses. But hey, that's all just fiction, right? Right? Okay, because this feels like it's just a few bad headlines away, I'm gonna put it at least here. It might even be the winner. I'm not sure though, we'll see. While climate change is part of the issue in Parable of the Sower, it's basically the whole shebang in A Friend of the Earth. I'm talking about almost every plant and animal extinct. Gone. In this version of 2025, climate change has basically taken over. There's virtually no biodiversity, no fish, no frogs, no birds, and there's barely any food, except rice. There is still rice, so people mostly just eat rice and drink sake. Probably a lot of sake, but it gets worse. Thanks to climate change, El Nino winds hit every day. But not only that, every extreme weather condition happens. Fires, heavy rain, extreme heat. And if you thought the government was gonna help people through it, nope. No more Social Security. However, they did cure cancer, which means people live much longer, they're just poor and starving while doing it. Oh boy, I wanna rank this low, but oh man, there's been so much rollback of environmental protections. I'm gonna put it below Parable of the Sower. Above Running Man though. Rapid fire time. I left these out of the rankings because the dystopias in the rankings actually feel like they're plausible. Like they could genuinely end our world this year, but these feel just a little too out there. But hey, for the sake of completeness, let's talk about it. There are 2 that involve aliens. Well, this one's centaurs, close enough. There are 2 that involve space rocks. In this one, a meteor shower kills the Earth. In this one, people live on a hollowed out asteroid because Earth is uninhabitable. In this one, humans caused an environmental disaster from nukes and toxic waste. Bone Clocks has 2 groups of immortal people at war. And lastly, you got this climate fiction novel, which, is it a novel? They call it a novel. It's really a dense call to action more than it is a novel though. I told you, there's a ridiculous amount of dystopias that take place in 2025. But back to the ranking. Next up, 334. Now this dystopia seems kind of mild. at least compared with environmental disasters and killer game shows. No crazy event has happened, just a little overpopulation. People are squeezed into these huge apartment complexes that have like 800 units and over 3,000 people. So how does the government propose to fix it? Well, mandatory birth control. But also some people are just forbidden to have kids because, you know, eugenics. Honestly, this doesn't seem so bad somehow. Like, half of us aren't having kids anymore anyways. We're already headed in that direction. That said, I think this is pretty unlikely. We're just not that overcrowded yet. I don't see the government meddling in like eugenics and forced birth control. So I'm gonna put it at the bottom. I think it's less likely than Running Man. Wait, is it less likely than Running Man though? I'll put it above Running Man. All right, so we have covered economic collapse, authoritarian regimes, overpopulation, and really covered climate change. But what about a future where the machines take over? Yeah, it's time to talk about the rise of the robots. In Rainbow's End by Vernor Vinge, we're introduced to a concept called technological singularity. Vinge popularized this idea back in the 90s, and it refers to the point where technology evolves beyond our control. Basically, machines enter their own self-improvement loop, getting intelligent faster and faster until there is an intelligence explosion. This basically ends the human era, making us obsolete, and entering, I guess, the android era. Our tiny little brains can't even conceive the possibilities of what could happen after that. But in Vinge's version of 2025, there are no killer robots roaming around, but people do have virtual overlay contacts that have turned their entire worlds into augmented reality. Okay, this feels possible. I mean, really, if AI enters a loop where it just improves exponentially, we're done. And we already have like Meta and Apple AI glasses. I think this beats out Parable of the Sower. I'm putting it at the top. It goes at the top. I can see this. Last one. This one, well, it's less about futuristic tech and more about good old-fashioned ego. In Twilight's last Gleaming, the US is in decline and still hopelessly dependent on foreign oil. Now, a sensible country might, you know, invest in renewable energy or reduce consumption, but America? Nah. We're a little delusional and think we're invincible, so instead we decide it's smarter if we just invade another country and take their oil. It doesn't go well. Turns into a full-blown disaster. The whole world gets pulled in. China allies against us, nuclear threats are tossed around, and back in the US, things get ugly. The war triggers an energy crisis, sending oil prices through the roof, which tanks the dollar, triggering a full-blown economic meltdown. Inflation skyrockets, unemployment skyrockets, and the US eventually falls. Oh man, our ego. That's a good one. I'm putting this below Rainbow's End. I think it's less likely than robots and singularity, but I'm putting it above Parable of the Sower. Even though Parable of the Sower, a lot of that stuff feels like it's happening or about to happen, but war could happen so quick, and our ego is getting so big. It's getting bigger every day. Putting it second. Final answer. What do you think of this ranking? Agree? Disagree? Which 2025 dystopian vision do you think is most likely to actually come true in 2025?